Alright, it is a Wednesday, October the 13th, 9:24 a.m. and this is the main watch list. I don't think anything has really changed other than the fact that I do have some new stocks that I'm looking at, but they are at the other watch list. They're not really necessarily like stocks that trade with a lot of volume. Like this has a really nice daily chart, but if you look at the actual price, action, it's actually pretty bad. So the main watch list here is ILUS. I would be interested in this. I would actually like to be able to short the stock at some point. Maybe to short the backside of a move and maybe try holding for a few days. Schwab doesn't really charge interest. They do, but it's like very, very minimal. But yeah, that's what I have in mind. Maybe this thing can continue to try to get closer to the highs here. Maybe it'll even break past it, but if it looks like we have like an obvious looking backside of the move, I'll be interested in that. MJWL, I'd like to see just a continuation and maybe try again for a higher low setup. Not necessarily, begging for it to continue. It could also make a morning panic bounce play. Yeah, ILUS as well could be a morning panic bounce play, but I don't really like that stock. I'd rather short it. IFXY, if it trades back and forth in this range, it could do something nice for a breakout. It doesn't have to, and that would be a pretty cool swing potential just to learn from it. MMTLP, nothing in particular I'm interested in. I just want to watch it. It's a funny stock. I wonder if it's shortable. Not necessarily because I want to short it, just out of curiosity. It's not shortable here on Schwab. And yeah, PUGE, this could be a morning panic bounce play. You could try a breakout too, but it doesn't really look that nice. It's putting up like lower highs, but it can totally turn around. It just needs news or something like that. So that's what I have for right now. I do like morning panic bounce play setups, but I'll continue to be cautious with that. And if it's like a higher low setup or something else that in theory takes more time to play out, I'll consider coming up with a dollar loss, a max dollar loss, maybe something small like $8, and trade a position accordingly. So on the setups that do work out or at least look nice, I can try the appropriate size so that I can really capitalize my gains and then keep my losses controlled at a very small number. Alright, it is 9:35. One trade so far with PUGE. This was a partial fill. I didn't get my full size, which would have been a $570 position. And my goal was to sell at VWAP, which is exactly what it did. My buy and sell was actually the same minute, 9:34, the crazy turnaround minutes. I like buying morning panic bounce plays are at 9:34 because that seems like a time that a lot of these like to turn around. If it's like 9:33 and 40 seconds and it looks like it's trying to hold a level, and it holds it for 20 seconds, it could be a nice turnaround immediately the next minute that it does it. At 9:34, I was in at 9:34.09 at 11:01. So I actually did get like right at my I was trying to get in at a better price, but if that's all I was able to get and it was a partial fill, that's totally fine. Again, I was in at 11:01 right here, and then I sold at 14. Right, it doesn't even look like it. I guess I top ticked it at 9:34 because I sold at 14. Maybe actually that 14 level is like, I don't know, 11.35 or something. Let's find out. It's not even my full. I guess we'll just do the quick math. Yeah, 11.39. So it wasn't necessarily 14, but it was right under 14. 11.39. Right here because it was VWAP. That's really the goal. And I don't like when it has like a huge. Excuse me. I should not drink lemonade. Right when I wake up, because then it just kills my voice. Right here at 9:34, I just don't like how we had all this volume right here. It just felt like it was getting sold into. You know, obviously I was probably being scared too, was trying to put up a higher low here, but this is a bit too much for me. I would have liked it if it was a bit lower, but it can try to continue and run, you know, like nothing ever happened, an uptrend, but it is starting to look bad on the daily chart too. I was looking at MJWL. I don't like how it had to drop and then immediately just bounced back like the next minute, so it just got off of my interest. Damn, my voice is still messed up. ILUS keeps dropping. You know, this thing, I've known it to be so disgusting with morning panic balance play setups that I was actually interested in shorting it. If this thing continues to downtrend and it does like a 11:30 a.m. give or take reversal, I might even go size on a setup like that. I might throw in like a $3,000 trade. Of course, I'll try the dollar risk average, whatever, but I'll risk more. Maybe I'll risk like $20 and then I'll trade a larger position based off of that instead of the $8. But this thing could try to do a morning panic bounce play. It could try to turn around here, but I'm not necessarily in a hurry. I'll gladly miss this one because it's ugly. And when it was trading here, VWAP was like right there, like 38.50, and then VWAP is at 38.85. That's not really nice for a morning panic bounce play. IFXY, okay, has a spike. It's not really trading with good volume. Yeah, that's all I have for right now. There's nothing else that looks kind of interesting. I guess this one's trying to turn around. Not really the best. And this one, sketchy sub penny. This one keeps running, which is cool, but I'm not interested in really trading it. I don't like sub pennies because you can, like, you know, you could take a buy at 55 and sell at 52, and that's close to 10%, like, already, you know. Yeah, that's what I have for right now. Just one trade there, partial fill. I'll keep looking for more setups. Alright, it is 9:50. I am interested in this for like a higher low setup off the morning panic bounce play, but I don't like where it is on the daily charts. There is a lot of people here on the ask, which is not helping this stock. In theory, I would be in at 11.2, and then if it breaks my risk low, which would be if it gets down to 10.9, that would be give or take the $8 loss. I just don't think, or at least if I don't trade it and it works out, I won't be too upset because there is a lot of people who have been pushing it on the ask, you know, pushing it down, but this could try to work out. Maybe not right now, but in the future it could try something. I just don't like the amount of people there who are sitting there just trying to get their shares executed. Alright, it is 10:01 a.m. I want to make a quick update. I didn't trade it. It kind of had a weird turnaround with PUGE. Somebody bought like $30,000 worth of stock in this candle right here. It looked like it was trying to downtrend, right? And I wouldn't have really have been interested in it, even if you know, looking at it in hindsight, I wouldn't have really have bought it here because I was wanting it, if it was going to downtrend to this level, make some kind of a small range, maybe trade at least 2 minutes there so it looks like a more solid risk level, and then I would have a very tight risk level. I wouldn't necessarily trade a larger size because then it would be closer to my risk level, just because of the fact that I would have liked it if it held this 11.1 level instead of just 11. So it did turn around here because somebody bought a whole bunch of shares. So I think the pattern is kind of ruined at this point. I'm not necessarily interested in trading it anymore. MJWL is just doing this thing. I'm not necessarily interested in it at all. This is basically, if you ask me, mid-range, so it's not something I'm interested in. ILUS could be a morning panic bounce play, higher low here. Again, I just don't want to trade it because, I mean, well, you're in at, let's say you're really cool and you got in at 37.5, alright? VWAP is 38.22. It's right there. I don't like that at all. That range is not really that nice. That's like, I don't know, just under 3%, and trading it, you know, best case scenario right here, and then you sell right at VWAP. I don't necessarily think that's worth trading. Same thing with this, although this was a little better. 37.5, and then at the time VWAP was 38.5. So at least you're trading a penny, which is like, again, 3%. This one ended up being maybe a little more than 3%, but these are just little baby things. I want to trade something that has more range. If it makes an uptrend at this point, maybe this could be a confirmed backside. You know, if it makes like a spike and it isn't able to get back to the 40 level, you know, if it tries to make a move towards the upside, that might not actually be bad at all. Although I think a better level to play off of would be red to green. I will be interested in a short, but this might not exactly be, you know, what I would want it to be, so I might hesitate even if it works out eventually. That's all I'm looking at. I'm not really necessarily, you know, seeing anything else that is making me interested in trading except for maybe ILUS. Very speculative idea. Alright, it is 10:17. ILUS is doing an amazing job of just being a horrible stock for longs. Crappy mess here. I've learned not to try this for morning panic bounce plays. I don't think it dropped that much for me to have been interested in it if it was the case. But when it did here, you know, I didn't want to trade it because it's always been a piece of crap. But at least it did do a nice turnaround. It broke VWAP, but again, the range is horrible. And then it broke this level right here. I have not been short this stock, even with a tiny like 500 share position at, let's just say, give or take 37.75. Let's see. Right, 37.75, and then I could risk VWAP breaking, which would be, you know, 38.29, right? So that's 191, right? You have a $3 risk level, which is tiny and not necessarily the best place to risk off of. Red or green is probably better, or maybe the top here, but you know, this thing just continues to downtrend with a lot of volume, and I'm not going to chase it on the way down. It doesn't have to. It could obviously fail, but it can try to hold this 36 level. And then if it does like a reversal, maybe it can be like a weird looking head and shoulders, shoulder, head, and then a shoulder. This isn't really necessarily a shoulder, but I just don't want to be that guy who's like, alright, it keeps going down, I'm going to be short right here, it's going to keep going down. And maybe it does, but then it's not really a good setup, at least like mentally. And then, or maybe it just turns around and then you feel like an idiot because you literally shorted the bottom. So it could try to hold 36. I like how VWAP keeps downtrending. That's really nice, but I might just leave this one alone too and just learn from it. It's been a long time since I've been able to short stock, so I'll just keep all these things into consideration. Alright, it is 1:05 and I just want to go over a trade that I just closed, and this was like, you know, this could still work out, but I'm out of it now. This could have been, for example, a short setup where, you know, ILUS has this run up from the 29 level up to back to the 40s, and the idea is that alright, you know, had this panic, and then it, you know, tries to build itself back up, but it's gonna reject. It's very hard to see, but this is a red to green line right here. So the idea was that you know, it's gonna not just reject this red to green line, but it's also going to be maybe it's a little more risky, but like shorting the head of a head and shoulder. So this is the shoulder right here, this is in theory the head, and we're gonna want to see this 39 level break, and then, you know, that will be a nice place to cover into, maybe at VWAP, right? And then it makes a shoulder if it wants to do something like that. The issue is that it's holding it really nicely at 39. It might just break it, you know, break under later, but at the time it was looking like it was trying to turn around, as you can see by this baby price action right here. And I traded a tiny size just because, you know, I'm just trying to practice, really. I'm not trying to hit a home run. I'm just trying to practice short selling. A setup that in theory could work out, because it could fail this line right here. It could stay red on the day and downtrend some more, And then on top of that, you know, it can have a lot of room to fall because of that. And it has shown itself that it can have these nice downtrends, but it didn't really look like it. It looked like it was trying to turn around. It did have that wick here, and 39 is holding pretty nicely too. I was short. 12:47 was the time, and that was, I believe, 39.22. Yep. So right here was my short, and I like this, even though it didn't really work out, at least right now. Maybe it'll work out later. I didn't want to hold for what could have been, you know, a new higher low or something like that. I'd rather short into what could be the bottom at the level. This thing can try to uptrend and maybe reject the top level here, but it can also break past it if it's going to be a very weak head and shoulder, head, and then maybe it makes the shoulder and it breaks out of it and it doesn't move. It can totally do something like that too. It'll be interesting to see what this thing does for the rest of the day. And my cover right here at 39.06, 105, just when it looked like it was starting to potentially lift off of this 39 level. And it was kind of hard to hold this through because there was always a lot of people on the bid and not too many people on the ask. Actually, pretty much what it looks like right now. But what was in favor was a lot of red prints, and that would have, you know, been the thing that was keeping me holding on, you know, to the trade. So I'll make an update and see if this 39 level cracks. You know, I was trying to avoid a potential turnaround, and then it breaks the level. It goes green on the day, and that would be super bad. So I'll make an update to see what it does later, but I think that was a pretty cool attempt. You know, it was a scalp basically. It wasn't, you know, it was a break-even trade. It didn't really go in my favor, but I made a little bit. That's all I have for right now. I'll make an update to see what this one does eventually. Oh, and as for the other ones, I actually wanted a short. This is nice. Had I have maybe focused more, I could have considered a higher low setup when it was under VWAP, but the problem is that I don't like the way it looks on the daily chart. IFXY was super nice. I tried the short at because it broke this level here at 12, which is like super important right here, 12. It broke this level, as you can tell. It was support for a while, and when it broke under it, I was there when that was happening, right around the same times the overall market was also crashing. I tried to get short at 11.7 in this range right here, but I wasn't able to because this is a penny stock, while ILUS is you know, at 39 cents. I just don't have the margin in my account to be able to short this thing. I would have had to have had an $11.70 short position because of that $2.50 short rule. So yeah, and then it did fall here. I don't know honestly where I would have covered, but I tried to get short at 11.7. That would have been a cool setup, and it did have some more room to downtrend. I'll make an update to see what ILUS does. In theory, I could have held for my in theory risk level, which was like this 39.56 level, but I didn't. I just said I'd rather just cover in what appears to be the bottom at the moment than to wait for maybe a turnaround and then it breaks the risk level. I just wanted to play it like that, even though I was probably risking like $1.60. It's just a small tiny short setup. I could have had like a $300 position short, but I like my little tiny size short trade because it is practice holding setups for a longer period of time, and that's something I definitely need to get better at. Yeah, I held this one for like 18 minutes. Alright, I'll make an update later. Alright, it is 5:30 p.m. and I am here to call it off. I had two trades. One was this morning panic bounce rate with PUGE, and if I can switch to my other accounts, a super duper tiny super tiny gain on the setup that didn't play out ultimately. Just two setups right there. Let me actually go over the short setup first, and that was ILUS, which was right here. I took a short position at 1247, which was back here, right about here, when it was looking like it was trying to top and maybe downtrend, and that's what happened. But the goal of breaking 39 cents did not happen, unfortunately for me. But I did cover at 105, which was right here when it started to look like it was going to turn around. Right before it started to actually turn around and make a small move there. I would have eventually had to have cut the trade, possibly, you know, when it broke that level at 39.53, 39.55. It did get as high as 39.86. It didn't get to 40, which is that level that could definitely be a top. And it did downtrend to 37, so it did break 39. It just wasn't when I tried back here. It did one more move and it went down from there. Potential head and shoulder, shoulder head, but this one did fail, unless you call this the shoulder, to which I guess it dropped. Not really. It would have been nice if this thing would have dropped towards the neckline where VWAP was. I would have been profitable there. And then I could have even tried shorting the shoulder with a full size, which on the short selling account that has a $2.50 you know, rule, I would have only have been able to short like a $390 position, but that still would have been kind of cool. And yeah, that's really the setup here. It did turn around and just had one more little bump, one more try before it ultimately failed. This thing is disgusting for morning panic balance plays. I have learned not to trade that. It did turn around ultimately here, but I was totally fine missing that because that was a very ugly turnaround. I just don't really like that stock for long setups, but it could be nice for something to short. So let me switch back to my day trading accounts. PUGE was that morning panic bounce play. It was right here. Simple level 2 reversal. And actually, yeah, I sold at 934, but you know, I basically sold right under 14. I tried to go for a higher low. It was kind of sketchy. I didn't like how it just made a move there because somebody bought a bunch of shares, I guess. And then it made like a baby lower low. Maybe if I was looking at this setup again a lot more closely, I would have considered maybe a dip buy. But again, I don't like that daily charts. MJWL is down a little bit. It's not necessarily, you know, going in any direction. It can still continue the uptrend. It is holding the EMA 4. IFXY, it looks like it had a downtrend later in the day. Yeah, that's all I have. Not so bad, you know. At least I pushed myself to trade that morning panic bounce play, although it didn't work with PUGE. It's still a potential morning panic bounce play set up in the future. That's all I got for right now. Not bad. I think I finished maybe just $10, something small. It was a partial fill too on my PUGE morning panic bounce play. So yeah, some improvements there. I was happy I was able to short ILUS and just practice holding setups for a longer period of time because I need to keep working on that.